When a cartoon starts becoming a popular phenomenon, the company producing that cartoon starts looking for any opportunities to expand these characters beyond what they are. And that's when we start getting merchandise, Christmas specials, short films, theme park areas, and sometimes flat out hotels. And this can be a really good thing or a really bad thing. On one hand, we get a lot more of the world of the cartoon we like, and we get to show everybody, hey, we like this cartoon. Some of these cartoons wouldn't be nearly as popular without being expanded. But on the other hand, we sometimes get rushed products that are just made only to milk a good thing, leading to things like the Nickelodeon Hotel falling apart. The thing that leads me here today, however, is the idea of a cartoon movie. A 1-hour version of that cartoon with a more laid out plot. Nothing could go wrong, right? Something I've been wanting to do on this channel for a while is watch every single cartoon movie and tier list them. And today I'm doing that because I like cartoons and I like movies. Put that together and you got a crazy video. I'm still waiting for the Gumball movie. Please give us something, a screenshot, I don't care. Also, to celebrate hitting 100,000 subscribers, which is insane, I have merch now. I have shirts, I have hoodies, I have stickers, I have an Awesomemay mug. What? So yeah, if you're interested in that, link in description. Let's get back to the video. Right off the bat, we got the Phineas and Ferb movie, The Second Dimension. The Second Dimension has no right being so good. It's so unforgettable that even to this day, I still get flashbacks of it. This movie manages to take such a simple concept of Phineas and Ferb and challenges itself, completely changing character dynamics, adding dark alternate reality versions of these characters. It is just the definition of sick, cool, and swag. This is the first time we see Phineas angry and the first time Candace shows a lot more emotion. And I literally went silent during this scene.
You're a secret agent? And you've been living with us this whole time? Was that evil guy right? Were we just a cover story to you? I mean, were you ever really our pet or part of our family? Well, apparently not, because you didn't trust us enough to tell us.
For the entire length of this movie, Phineas is constantly pissed off.
What was that for?
Even Dr. Doofenshmirtz has a clone now, and I actually really enjoyed both of their segments. Doofenshmirtz always carries Phineas and Ferb. I can't believe this movie is 11 years old. This is the darkest we've seen Phineas and Ferb get since the Busted episode, and it surprisingly works so well. Everything about this movie feels so different and creative, and that's why this is an S for me. And then you got the second movie, Candace Against the Universe, which came at a very random time out of nowhere. A time where I was pretty accepting of the fact Phineas and Ferb was over. And I'm sorry, but I didn't really care for this movie. Not to say it's a bad movie, it has some really nice animation, the colors are way more vibrant. Dan Povenmire had such a huge part with this movie. Like, he was grinding at this movie. He was promoting and marketing this movie by himself on TikTok. And for that, I'm thankful this movie exists, but it just has a lot less of an interesting plot compared to the first. The alien space vibe feels like a really easy way out in terms of story. As soon as I saw these boring alien characters, I just stopped caring. The space episodes in Phineas and Ferb have never been my forte. Except for Meep, of course. If they just focused on these main characters again and less on these characters, it would have been an A, but sadly, it's just a B for me. It's not really that memorable, but it's not really that terrible. It's just kinda there. Let me get the 3 SpongeBob movies out of the way before I get into any more movies. I've noticed a pattern with these films. You got good, fever dream, bad. The first SpongeBob movie is an absolute classic that came during the golden times of SpongeBob, and some say is the last SpongeBob was ever good. But I don't know, season 4 was decent. The SpongeBob movie feels like a drawn out SpongeBob episode, and it's so exciting to watch, it's such a blast. SpongeBob really wants to be the new manager, but with a surprising turn of events, Squidward gets rewarded. Finally, this man gets some happiness. Everybody is cheering. Woo! This movie also has this crown side plot that I personally just didn't care for because there's so many random instances between it that I just kind of stopped caring. But it brings me all back in with this spectacular scene that also gives me nightmares. This is actually a super fun movie to watch. You get a little bit of everything. All the characters get their fair share of spotlight, and it definitely does SpongeBob justice. And the Patty Mobile is such a great bit. I want to write it or I want to eat it. I just can't decide. This movie is going to be an A just because I don't think it's on par with the Phineas and Ferb movie, but it's super close. Then we got Sponge Out of Water. I don't have much to say about this movie, but I do remember feeling absolutely insane after watching it. This movie gave me an existential crisis when I was 8. The first half of this movie is so well animated that I kinda got disappointed when they became real. It's still pretty okay though, so it's a big B for me. And lastly, we got the newest SpongeBob movie that came out in 2021 titled Sponge on the Run. And you know, It's a movie. It's nothing completely terrible, nor is it anything that good, which is really disappointing because the animation had potential. For being a SpongeBob movie, the jokes are so incredibly tame and boring. I don't think I laughed more than once during the entire length of this movie. The comedy feels so over-explained for some reason, just flat out telling you the joke instead of letting you figure it out.
Yes, H, I mean, you've been pretty good up until now, but I love Gary more than anything in the whole world. And we came here to get him back.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about us losing any focus.
Oh, boy.
We got focus to burn, baby.
Every time I expected the Keanu Reeves tumbleweed joke to end, it just didn't. It went on for so long. Please stop. I want a new joke. Everything that happens feels like it's only there because they needed something on screen. And that also leads us to scenes like this that genuinely don't feel part of this movie at all. They barely do anything and it barely leads to any development in the story. I am getting so heated up for no reason, but this movie is an F for me. It has the patty, which is the visuals, but it's missing the meat, the lettuce, the tomato, the condiments. So yeah, F. Next on the list is the Steven Universe movie. I was reluctant on watching this movie because I never really got into the show. I watched some of the first season and I enjoyed it, but I wasn't too interested in the world of Steven Universe. And there's kind of a weird balance when it comes to the animation of this show. Some scenes feel very stiff and then other scenes are at Disney level. That might be team cooperation, maybe some scenes had to be rushed, so it's all good, but I was excited to watch this movie nonetheless, just for the visuals alone. Every pause, I just examined the sheer art of this movie. Look at these backgrounds. And the music is really catchy too. I got sick of this song really quickly when this movie came out, but after listening to it again, it works really nicely. It's timed well, every movement fits with the song. Here in the Future is so catchy and memorable, it sounds so good. Here we are in the future, and it's bright! We follow a 16-year-old Steven wearing the sickest outfit. All the characters are singing and running and doing absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, but then we meet the most annoying rubber hose villain ever, and she sings a song and then cuts them all in half. And when the crystal gems eventually do come back, they forget everything about themselves. So this movie takes a turn and follows Steven as he tries to give the gems pieces of their past to jog their memory, hoping somehow doing so, they will all come back to reality. That's kind of a cool plot, honestly. They go to the arcade, they pull off a really cool concert, and this all goes well until they realize they also have to jog Spinell's memory, who was also sliced in half, I guess. And the problem with jogging her memory is the fact that she used to be a bad guy, so that's a problem. How do we solve this problem? We gotta cry! Crying will cure all sociopathic villains, that's obviously the truth. Now she's a good guy and they can do something about the end of the world. A win-win. She's evil again? Oh, come on! Overall, I'm gonna say this movie is a good A for me. Everything is paced really nicely. It just feels like a Steven Universe finale, which is obviously what they were going for. And I couldn't think of a better way to gift a fan base for a finale than a full movie. I wouldn't say I cared for everything going on just because I'm not a super fan, but it was a good watch and super creative. The Teen Titans Go movie. So I forced myself to watch the Teen Titans Go movie because, as we all know, it's one of those shows I like to stay away from. I don't think it's exactly that terrible. It's mostly made for kids. Maybe I'm not the target audience. The show only started annoying me when that's all Cartoon Network was running. The Teen Titans Go movie follows the Teen Titans wanting a movie. Wait, is the joke about how they do have a movie, which is the one I'm watching? Wow, that is genius. Truly beautiful writing on par with Shakespeare, but I actually didn't weirdly despise this movie as much as I thought I would. And the premise of them wanting to make a movie kind of sets up this movie as they try to become the only superheroes in order to be worthy of their own film. A decent self-aware plot. I mean, of course you got the constant butt jokes that go on for way too long to the point I was ready to stop watching, but they managed to fit in a lot of funny DC references that worked way more than they should have. Nicolas Cage plays Superman, which is silly. Stan Lee plays Stan Lee, which was also a good joke.
Here somewhere.
Hey everybody, look at me. I'm Stan Lee, doing my subtle cameo.
Will Arnett plays whoever this guy is. I wasn't paying attention to him, but I like Will Arnett. Also, the background art is really dark and appealing, and this is thanks to one of my favorite artists, Dan Hipp, who designs all these really doodly and fun drawings for the show and movie. It's kind of the only good thing about Teen Titans Go. I'm gonna say this is a good C for me, which might seem weird because of all the good things I just said, but compared to the rest of these movies, I cared for this movie the least. It's decent for being a Teen Titans Go movie, but I don't think I'll ever rewatch this movie for any given reason. Whereas the Phineas and Ferb or Steven Universe movie feel way more rewatchable and timeless, but this movie is still better than Space Jam 2. Okay, next movie. It's time for the Simpsons movie. The Simpsons movie is so far on this list because I was pretty hesitant to watch it. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the show. My favorite thing I own is a plush of Santa's Little Helper. But I think what threw me off board with this movie is just the plot in general. I found it to be very boring from the previews, but that might just be me. After giving it a try, I realized it's a lot more than just a stuck in a bowl story. The visual gags in this movie are so creative and unexpected. I will admit some scenes didn't hit as much as others, some felt really unnecessary. Really unnecessary. But when we do get those clever moments, it just, yes! Yes! Just like the Spongebob movie, we get a ton of moments from all the characters. Bart is suffering from Homer's abuse and befriends Ned Flanders. That's where we get the most satisfying scene in the movie. Lisa has a love interest now, which was super wholesome, a little random, but it works. Homer is abandoned by his family, on the brink of divorce, close to death by a polar bear, chased by mobs, almost shot with an arrow. And it's honestly kind of deserved, which is what this movie really focuses on. The town is dealing with a lot of pollution, which ages like fine wine. Meanwhile, Homer has this new pig and he's doing some really silly, funny jokes.
Spider Pig does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig.
Being Homer Simpson, he dumps his new pig's waste into a river, causing Springfield to get so polluted that the government installs a glass dome in the town. And so the Simpsons decide to avoid the problems and move to Alaska. After that, they kind of realize how bad and selfish Homer has been, and they just dip back to Springfield to save everything themselves. The end of this movie is so good. I love the redemption Homer has as he tries to be a good father to Bart, and this little slow-mo up to Marge is just pure art. This could have been a finale to the series and everybody would have been fine. But no, they had to continue this show so we could get a full episode of Bart Simpson being a Twitch streamer. The Simpsons movie definitely belongs with the A's, not just because it's really quotable and clever, but also because it's The Simpsons. And The Simpsons deserve an A, maybe even an S, solely for being The Simpsons. This South Park movie, woo, bigger, longer, and uncut. The South Park movie is just the definition of a fun time. I had such a blast watching this movie. I don't think there's a single moment where I zoned out or felt bored. Shout out to my dad who actually got me into watching this movie and just South Park in general. That's probably really bad parenting and I shouldn't tell people that, but I don't care, I still enjoyed this movie. If 10-year-olds can play GTA, then I can watch South Park. The South Park movie is basically just a long episode. Nothing really changes drastically from the TV show, and that's what makes it so good. They didn't try to go overboard or try something way out of ordinary, and therefore it remains just as funny and entertaining as the show. And the plot is really simple but still hilarious. Basically, the plot follows the South Park crew sneaking into the movie theater to watch the beloved movie, the Terrence and Phillip movie. And as more and more kids get influenced by this movie, the parents step in and declare a war on Canada. Because all of Canada is responsible for this movie, I guess. Stan, Kyle, and Cartman go on a journey to save Terrence and Phillip from being unalived. Meanwhile, Kenny is up to his normal shenanigans, you know, he'll be fine, he can walk it off. This movie is also a musical, which really caught me off guard when I first watched it, and it's probably the greatest musical of all time. Every song goes harder than every Steven Universe movie song. I just can't believe it came from South Park. This song had me absolutely tearing up.
I bet I could be political too. What do you think, Stan?
This movie does such a good job of making fun of censorship, hypocrisy, and the message still holds up today. This movie is just, it's a timeless flick. This is one of those movies I just know was a party in the writer's room, just a group of cool dudes making a movie together. I'm struggling to decide if this movie is going to be an A or an S. I do wish this movie had a little bit more of the main characters, and the end definitely suffers from the beginning being so good. So I'm gonna say this movie is a good A. I feel really bad. I don't know. Should it be an S? I can't decide. Also, I know there's a new South Park movie, but the new one is more of a special than a movie. This one does South Park complete justice, so I'm sticking with just this movie for the ranking. On to the next movie. Wait, let's quickly get these movies out of the way. It's What They Deserve.
What are you doing, honey?
Duking.
Right in front of us?
You know we have our own bathrooms now.
The Regular Show movie, which is a movie I had no clue existed, but oh my gosh, I regret watching this movie. It is so depressing, and why? I do not remember Regular Show being so dark. I just thought it was a funny show with some weird sounds the characters make. This movie is mostly about Mordecai and Rigby's friendship. When Mordecai gets into college and Rigby doesn't, he starts to feel betrayed and almost forgotten. Then Rigby decides to switch up the letters so Mordecai thinks he didn't get in. But he doesn't tell Mordecai this, so Mordecai is ready to go back in time. And Rigby doesn't say anything. Just come on! That kind of sets up this movie as their older selves try to stop them from doing that so they don't have to deal with another version of themselves that's in the way. I don't know. But while doing this, their entire friendship falls apart with just a very long scene where I have to stare at these characters roughed up and depressed. No, not Rigby, no! It was a little hard to keep up with, but I really enjoyed this movie. The lip sync was top notch, some of the action scenes looked really cool. I like the retro aesthetic. Even though it's a pretty short watch, it managed to keep my attention all the way through. They don't waste as much time as some of the other movies on this list. It's still in the B based on my personal preference for movies, but overall it was a nice watch. The Bob's Burgers movie, yeah! I actually just recently started getting into Bob's Burgers, and I feel so bad for being so late. I always tossed it aside because I'm a sucker for appealing animation, and although Bob's Burgers is meant to look a little ugly and Muppet-like, I was little and didn't realize that, so I skipped over it. It's definitely one of those shows that kind of gets overlooked and judged, but after watching it, you just can't stop.
Bob's Burgers is on. This show speaks to us young people, apparently.
That show, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, but that show looks like it was animated in a moving car.
I'm smelling a little bit of jealousy there, Family Guy. I don't know, just a tiny bit. I'm actually so surprised this got a theater release, and also I'm sad that it didn't do amazing. But I don't think anyone was expecting a theater release at all, so it's cool that we got one. And this movie has been on the top of the Hulu trending page for like a month, so I'm hoping it's getting the attention it deserves. The Bob's Burgers movie has such a nice look to it. The animation is so smooth and expressive in this movie. Almost too smooth. It gives me very wholesome, happy vibes. The character moments really carried this film. We get the best of Bob, and it really shows how good of a dad he really is. All the siblings get some really funny moments. The musical segments feel really awkward, but it kind of fits with the characters and is most likely intentional, so I still liked it. They've been foreshadowing the giant hole for like half this show, which is just insane. The plot of this movie is a murder mystery. Once the sinkhole kind of opens up in front of Bob's Burgers, it leaves them with no way for customers to come in, and therefore they start losing money. And it gets even worse when Louise finds bones in this hole, and now it's a criminal investigation. A very crazy plot, but the first episode was about cannibalism, so this is actually kind of tame. I'm gonna say the Bob's Burgers is a B, you know, because it's like Bob's Burgers. Obviously, I really love this movie, but I don't think it's as memorable as some of the movies in A. If it wasn't for the characters having so many good moments, this movie would be a little boring. Also, that scene where they're about to die, like, really saved this movie for me. The My Little Pony movie! Yes! I don't even have to say anything about this movie. You guys already know my opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was really fun to make. Here's my full ranking of every cartoon movie. At the top, of course, you got Phineas and Ferb, the second I mentioned, a true classic. And at the bottom, we got absolute nightmare fuel. Never watch these movies. I forbid it. I'm sure I missed a few movies, and I'm really sorry about that. I couldn't get to all of them. Let me know your guys' thoughts on these movies. Maybe give me your full ranking in the comment section. Also, maybe subscribe and like while you're at it. Okay, see you in the next video. Stay awesome.